different in so many ways. Some are sparks, some are fiery blaze, but we are one. We are one. Some express as they dance on a stage, some express putting pencil to page. We are one. We are one. We are born to this life, we are free, living spirit in humanity. We are one. One spirit, one mind, one God, one ever-present peace. One perfect being, being every living thing. The one and only truth, one power, one hope. We are a cosmic kaleidoscope. See that man who's asleep on the street, broken skin on the soles of his feet. We are one. We are one. See that girl in the Mercedes-Benz, beauty, money, surrounded by friends. We are one. We are one. We're all made of this powerful stuff. We are beauty, we're more than enough. We are one. One spirit, one mind, one God, one ever-present peace. One perfect being, being every living thing. One and only truth, one power, one hope. We are a cosmic kaleidoscope. We are one with the earth and the moon. We are one with the blue-nosed baboon. We are one. We are one. We are separate drops in one sea. We're a leaf in a jungle of trees. We are one. We are one. We're the spark that's creating the flame. We are perfect, we're one and the same. We are one. One spirit, one mind, one God, one ever-present peace. One perfect being, being every living thing. One and only truth, one power, one hope. We are a cosmic kaleidoscope. We are a cosmic kaleidoscope. We are a cosmic kaleidoscope. Oh, 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 oh. Whoa.
Good afternoon. I'm Randy Coleman, the President of the Board of Trustees. Thank you for being here today. I'd like to introduce Jeff Basham, our Zoom host and technical director, who will be assisting me in conducting the business of the meeting. I'll start off by asking Jeff if a quorum of 15% of our members is present.
Yes, Randy, we have more than 15% in the room.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. I'd like to ask all current Board of Trustees members to join us now by turning on their cameras. All right, are we all here? We're all here. I now call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome you to the 2023 annual gathering of the members of the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa. This is a public meeting, and it is being recorded to be posted on our website to satisfy the public requirement. Continued participation in the meeting indicates consent to be recorded and for the recording to be posted. At this meeting, we will be conducting the annual business of the center, which will include approving the minutes from last year's meeting, presenting to you the financial condition of the center, electing this year's trustees, and inducting our new Board of Trustees. We will begin our time together as we do at all our business meetings with an invocation. This will be provided by prayer practitioner Peggy Weber.
Leaving the morning's activities, I invite you to come into the present moment. Come into this present moment with gratitude. Gratitude that we are the freedom to meet as a spiritual community. Gratitude that we know that infinite presence, that divine, is in, as, through, and among each of us, and as one, all of us. In its guidance, through its guidance, this business meeting will be carried out with reports, reviews, questions, and an ambiance of newness, with clarity, with harmony, with wisdom, and that all-pervasive universal consciousness of love that infuses. This meeting is blessed, and together we say, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Peggy. The Board of Trustees also begins all our meetings with the reading of our sacred covenant. And here it is. Our identity as the Board of Trustees is to be completely humble, gentle, and patient with one another in love. We make every effort to keep the unity of spirit through the bond of peace. We each perceive that we are one with all people, and all are one with us. There is no separation. Our vision is unity. Our purpose is expressing love through service. Our intentions are to embrace spiritual principle and practice as the foundation of our activities, to maintain a big picture awareness, to articulate our vision, values, and philosophy, to maintain a high level of service and stewardship, to be ambassadors of the center, to communicate openly and regularly. I have some important information about how we will conduct business virtually. First, when I ask for a motion, if you would like to make the motion or second any of the motions, please press the raise hand button on your device. The first two people to raise their hands will be announced as the persons who moved and seconded the motion. Once a motion is made and seconded, an opportunity for discussion will take place. Those wishing to be acknowledged when discussion is called should also use the raised hand button on your device, and you will be acknowledged in order to raise your hands. Jeff will give you permission to talk, and you will need to unmute yourself before beginning your comments. Third, after discussion is complete, you will be asked to vote by an electronic poll, which will appear on your screen. The results will be announced and displayed on your screen for viewing once the vote has been concluded. Our first vote will be to approve the minutes from the 2022 annual membership meeting. These minutes have been available for your review on our website for the past month. May I please have a motion and second to approve the minutes from the 2022 annual membership meeting?
Martha McCabe moves and Ron Abler seconds that motion.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion? If you would like to speak on the motion, please tap or click on the raise hand button on your device. Comments and questions should be kept brief. Jeff will call on raised hands. Oh, sorry.
So I see two raised hands here. Erica Palazzo has a comment on that motion. Erica, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and state your comment. Erica, if you'd like to make a comment, you can now click the unmute button and talk. Okay, we'll go ahead and skip to the next person. Jerry Hefferter, looks like you have a comment on this motion. Go ahead and unmute and you can talk to the room. Jerry, I see you've unmuted, but we're not hearing you talk.
Okay, I'm good with it. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Okay, thank you. So it looks like there are no more hands, and I do see a comment in the chat that you don't have unmute buttons. That is correct. You won't have an unmute button show up unless you have raised your hand and I have given you permission to talk and we've called on you. So please don't worry about the fact that you don't have an unmute button right now, but you will see one if you are called upon. Thank you, Randy. Back to you.
Okay, great. Now our vote. Please cast your vote on the motion to approve the minutes from the 2022 annual membership meeting using the electronic poll displayed on your device.
Okay, just waiting for the last few people to cast their votes here. Okay, we'll go ahead and call that motion closed, and I will share the results here on your screen. We can see that that motion passed with 96% people approving.
Thank you all. Now we'll move forward with this year's business and turn our attention to the matters of finance. First, I'd like to introduce Mark McDonald. Mark is an independent CPA who's been associated with the Center for Spiritual Living, Santa Rosa, for many years. Mark has reviewed the 2022 year-end financials and is here today to provide his assessment. After Mark's presentation, we'll hear from our treasurer, Dinah Withrich, and after Dinah speaks, I will open the floor for questions and comments.
I am Mark McDonald, the Center's independent accountant. I am responsible for reviewing the Center's annual financial statements. The Center's 2022 financial statements and my independent accountant's review report are featured on the Center's website. My independent accountant's review report concludes that the Center's 2022 financial statements fully conform to the generally accepted accounting principles in the United States of America. Before performing the Center's financial review, my professional standards require me to assess my independence and determine it is not compromised. These professional standards forbid unacceptable circumstances, kind of like God's commandments to Moses in the Bible. Thou, independent accountant, shall not have a financial relationship with the Center. Thou, independent accountant, shall not have a close personal relationship with Center management. Thou, independent accountant, shall not become excessively familiar with Center management and willing to compromise one's professional judgment to appease Center management. Well, how familiar have Center management and I become with one another? This year, I joined a Saturday morning yoga class. The yoga class participants form a circle, and across that circle, I noticed a woman, and I was sure I knew her. Once we had the opportunity to talk, I said to her, and she said to me, "You look familiar." We began getting to know one another in an effort to determine just why we were familiar. She is a retired physical therapist, and she asked if I had had joint replacement. No, I said, not yet. That's not where our paths have crossed. I'm hoping that our yoga class will help heal my aching body. We continued this process for weeks, and then she said, "I'm with the Center of Spiritual Living." Immediately, I recognized her. Ann Snyder, past president of the Center's Board of Trustees, I said, "I am the Center's independent accountant." She looked at me and replied, "O'Donnell?" "No, McDonald," I said. Our mystery was solved, and we both sighed in relief. This experience informed my independence assessment for this year's financial review. It showed me that despite the long professional relationship I have had with the center management and I have not become too familiar. In fact, dressed down in our spandex yoga tights, we hardly even recognize one another. Thank you.
Okay.
Randy, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, I just got my video on. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, and now our treasurer, Dinah Withridge.
Thanks, Randy. Good afternoon, members. Thank you to Mark McDonald for his overview of our finances and for being such a valuable resource to our center for 12 years now. I've been your treasurer for the past year. I'd like to reemphasize the detailed financial reports are available on our website. Look for the picture of the vineyard. Should you have questions, contact COO Linda Han or me. We could also email you a copy of the year-end financials upon request. You may also type questions in the chat feature of the Zoom presentation. I'm happy to report that our center is showing healthy trends financially and in other areas that are leading us forward to being even stronger than we are today. Contributions were down during the first half of 2022. In July, Reverend Edward gave a thoughtful, direct, and honest message about our stressed financial condition. Our community responded by increased contributions and engagement across the board. Thank you to all who responded and helped carry our center through to where we are. We still have a long way to go, but we have confidence in our community and staff. On the downside of trends, our long-term investment known as our legacy account was down this year, which follows suit with the stock market downturn. We do expect them to go up over the long term. On the upside of trends, Christmas Eve services had a combined attendance of 500 versus 350 last year. We received a near pre-pandemic level of contributions that evening of $4,700. Our bookstore showed a $6,000 profit, demonstrating the dedication of a mighty team of volunteers and your support. Thanks to a generous donation by Michael Seymour, we held an art fundraiser, which earned $11,600. We've been able to further utilize our facility via room rentals to outside nonprofits, which provides us with additional ongoing revenue. When interest rates started rising last fall, we began putting some of our cash into CDs that will mature at different dates over the next 2 years. In 2022, we earned $4,000 in interest income, but as a result of these new investments, in 2023, we are on track to earn $20,000 in interest income. Additionally, we continue to be on target to pay off our mortgage in 2028. 2022 was a year of negotiating recovery from the pandemic. Combining our strong spiritual foundation of practices, we continued to open ourselves to new experiences and innovative procedures to adjust to this rebuilding period. In other words, a comeback year. We started singing together during Sunday services. We brought back passing of the donation baskets. Wednesday services returned in October. Attendance at Sunday services increased, and our beloved youth and family program returned. There is a kind of wealth that cannot be found in the pages of financial statements, yet it is the backbone of a healthy, vibrant community, our volunteers. We welcome the return of many volunteers, both old and new, who helped create the events that have helped us in our reawakening. Sharing of our Bounty Sundays last summer and fall, hosted by our Giving Attention team. the autumn pie party, the holiday sing-along and tree party. We hosted our annual Centers for Spiritual Living International Convention, where 55 volunteers plus staff coordinated, organized, and provided amazing speakers, both live and live streamed, music, delicious meals, and a beautifully stocked and well-run bookstore available to guests during the entire convention. The weekly volunteers that help clean the facility, both inside and out, the education volunteers that assist with our classes, and volunteers that are here on Sundays, our coffee angels, bookstore volunteers, greeters, ushers, tech team, and trustees who are committed to providing our community with a welcoming experience each week. As Reverend Edward often says, there are many ways to contribute to the health and well-being of the center. Whether you give financially, volunteer your time, or show up to take classes, thank you. We are beyond blessed and grateful for all volunteers, donors, friends and members, staff, trustees, stewards, and practitioners. As a reminder, we're happy to offer to our members education scholarships, as well as the Membership Assistance Program, also known as MAP, which is available to members in good standing. Additional information about these programs is available on our website. Thank you.
Thank you, Dinah.
You're welcome.
The floor is now open for questions or comments specifically directed toward our treasurer or CPA. We've asked Trustee Jan Davis and Dr. Edward, COO Linda Hand, to join us in answering your questions. If you wish to ask a question, you have two options. You can tap or click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and type your question into the Q&A screen. Questions will be read aloud and answered in the order received. Or you may also ask your question live by clicking on the raise hand button on your device. Those who raise their hands will be acknowledged and will need to click on the unmute button on their device before asking their questions.
Okay, just give everyone a second to either raise your hand if you have a question or a comment on the center's financials, or if you'd like to type in any questions or anything into the Q&A, we'll present it to the panel. Okay, we do have one question that's come in. This is from Barbara Brennan. Her question is, did the center receive any money for hosting the convention?
I believe that there was some money received, but I would have to ask, I believe Linda Hand can address that exactly.
Yeah, thank you, Dinah. Thank you, Barbara. Yes, we not only had the joy of hosting the convention, but our home office did provide us with funds, not only for the musicians and guest speakers, but they paid us a portion of all the food that was served to the paid attendees. Quite honestly, we don't have everything reconciled yet because those funds are still coming in.
Thanks, Linda.
Great, thank you. We have another question from Ann Jarrow asking, how are our investments handled? Do we have a financial planner?
We have a stewardship team that meets once a month, and that consists of Linda Hand, the COO, and our Mitzi, our financial operations person, and then 5 stewards. And those things are discussed there, and the investments that were made this year in the CDs, I physically did those with the approval of the stewards the dollar amounts and term of the CDs were discussed amongst the stewards, and then I just carried out the action. Does that answer your question?
We'll have to wait for a typed answer to make sure that works or that satisfies the question. We do have a comment from Cheryl Plulu. I'm sorry, I'm going to say your last name wrong. So it's from Cheryl. Congratulations, what a team to turn the financial situation around. So that was just a comment for everyone. And we do have a question. I don't know if it's directly pertaining to financials, from Bettina O'Brien, asking if the Thanksgiving dinner at the center is coming back this year.
Linda?
Thanks, Bettina, for that question. You know, we haven't discussed the holidays yet. We weren't able to hold that event last year because we didn't have staff or volunteers in place. And the woman that actually generously coordinated that for years and years for us has stepped down. So I guess more to be revealed.
Great. And Dinah, we did get a note from Anne saying that your previous answer did satisfy her question. So thank you for that. There is a question from Linda Wheeler. How much of our income comes in from Amazon donations?
I believe that Amazon donations stopped in February.
And Dinah, I can jump in. It is so little. You guys, we get so much more from Oliver's donations than we do from Amazon. So if I could encourage all members who shop at Oliver's to fill out the Oliver's community card, that would actually help us. Thanks.
Great, Linda.
Great. Thank you, Linda. There's a question from Chandra Farnsworth. Just to clarify, from what Linda said, it sounds like we were reimbursed for some expenses, but not provided a fee for hosting the conference. Did I hear correctly?
You know, Chandra, we received $2,500 as the fee and then $75 per paid attendee for food. So I believe that we're actually going to be able to cover all expenses and maybe have a little left over. But as mentioned, everything isn't reconciled yet.
Thank you, Linda. Jane Kennedy wants to know briefly, how did 2022 end financially compared to previous years, including prior to COVID?
Jan, do you want to handle that?
We did have a negative cash flow last year by the end of the year. So, but we had come in, we had anticipated that, and we came in really actually a little better than we expected to end the year. Our spending plan was pretty close, and our community even a little outperformed that and was very supportive. I actually don't remember on 2019 what our ending situation was. I'd be happy to get back to you if you want.
Okay, thank you, Jan. There was a comment just confirming that, and I don't know if this is still accurate, do we have Abacus as our financial planner still?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. So thank you, Martha McCabe, for that. And Cheryl had a follow-up question asking how much do we roughly get in donations through Oliver's? And I guess she's also asking what's going on with the roof repair.
Hey, Linda, can you answer the question regarding Oliver's?
I can. It'll take me a second. Okay, so it looks like, hold on one second. Let me put. It looks as though with Oliver's, we it had revenue of $4,200 in 2022, and Amazon was $1,000. So that's how that compares. The roof leak is an ongoing story, or the roof, I guess, is an ongoing story. As you guys probably know, our roof is old. It's also flat. We entered into an agreement in 2019 with Warren Roofing. At that time, we got bids to replace the entire roof, but it was going to be in the neighborhood of $260,000 to $330,000 to do that, which we did not well, we would have in the bank, but we didn't feel that was a good use of the funds at that time. So we entered into a 4-year maintenance agreement with Warren and replaced the areas around the post. We did the emergency repairs, and we're now in the next step where we'll have them reevaluate our roof and give us the strategy, I guess, if you will, what our next steps would be. So that was actually scheduled to be done in 2024, but William Abel, who is our new facilities manager, is actually meeting with them now so they can bring him on board and get a better understanding of the roof. And then we'll make some decisions and bring the trustees into that conversation once we have that information.
Okay, it looks like we have a few more questions here. Are we from, let's see. I'm just trying to ask these questions in an order that that will make sense in what's already been discussed. Was Abacus involved in selecting the CDs? And that's from Juanita Ortegon.
No, they weren't. They managed the legacy account, and the stewardship team basically manages the rest of the money with consulting with Linda and Mitzi. But yeah, Abacus does the legacy account and makes the investments of that money. So
thank you. There was another comment from Juanita just stating that at Oliver's, and I know this from experience, it's important to remember to show your card to ensure that CSO gets the donation. It's not automatic. You have to scan it every single time. So just something to take note of. And one more question from Susan Witt Butler. Are we receiving any more government or federal assistance?
no, we're not.
Okay. Thank you. I think we have answered all the questions that are open right now, and I don't see any hands raised. So I think, Randy, we can give it back over to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you to our financial panel. At this time, I ask for a motion and a second to vote to accept the financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2022.
And we have that motion made by Nancy Reynolds and seconded by Lynn Rubish.
Thank you. There is a motion on the floor and discussion has already taken place. Now our vote. Please cast your vote on the motion to accept the financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2022. Please vote via the electronic poll displayed on your device.
Okay, we're just waiting for a couple more people to submit their vote here. Just a reminder to the current Board of Trustees, if you would turn on your cameras again, that would be wonderful while we're waiting for this. Okay, it looks like we have our results. I'll show them on the screen, and we have 99% of people approving the financial statements. Thank you.
Thank you. I would now like to take this time to introduce you to our current trustees. First, terms ending today, Dinah Withrich, our treasurer, Kate Luna, and Marianne Granieri. Terms ending next year, March 2024, Randy Coleman, President, Jan Peterson, Vice President, and Anne Marie Cheney. For terms ending next March 2025, Jan Davis and Julie Myers. At this time, Board Vice President Jan Peterson will introduce the slate of candidates for the next term.
Okay. Our first candidate is Adrian Bowes. There we go. We trustees know Adrian from the board meetings where she supports us with her beautiful opening and closing prayers and does high watch during the meetings. 30 years ago, Adrian walked into the Luther Burbank Center where she heard Dr. Edward give one of his very first talks. She knew immediately she had finally found her spiritual home, and that belief has never wavered. As an active prayer practitioner for almost 20 years, she embraces our teachings and the power of affirmative prayer. Adrian, in her own words, I love our center with all my heart, and I'm honored to be nominated as a trustee on its board. Okay. Our second candidate is Karen Hatton. She should appear. Oh, there we go. If you come to the 9 a.m. service, you've probably been greeted by Karen at one of the sanctuary doors. She was raised in South Dakota in a small farming community where she worked as a manager in the aerospace industry. Whoop. Yeah, try it again. She's raised in South Dakota in a small farming community and then moved to Southern California, where she worked as a manager in the aerospace industry. And I just love that, the farming small town community in South Dakota and Southern California aerospace. She thankfully now brings that management prowess to our center, and it shows up in her excellent on-the-spot problem-solving skills. And I say that because I've witnessed it, whether it's as a welcoming team lead or during the Vista event. A fun fact is that Karen and her husband Lyle owned a vineyard in Kenwood for 10 years. They grew grapes, made wine, and she made wine jelly. She expresses a deep satisfaction with her volunteer work and is ready to expand that to the board. Welcome. Our third candidate is Greg Summers. And here's, oh, there. Hi, Greg. Unless you go to the sound booth on many Sunday mornings, you won't see Greg. He's up in the balcony. He's a key member of our video live stream team. But then again, you may have been fortunate enough to have met him, his wife, Kathy, and their teenage daughter in the social hall or sanctuary. Greg's career is in information technology, and he's currently leading engineering and technology teams in the healthcare industry here in Northern California. He's decided to expand his service to the center, bringing his managerial and technical skills to serve on the board. Also, he's a strong advocate for the youth ministry program as a priority for both his daughter and to our center. He says, I very much appreciate the opportunity the board is extending to me and look forward to serving. So thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Jan. Are there any other nominations from the floor? If you have a nomination, please tap or click on the raise hand button on your device. You will be acknowledged and will need to click on unmute on your device before speaking.
We have no raised hands. Randy.
Thank you. Hearing no nominations then, I ask for a motion now and a second to accept the slate of candidates as presented by the Board of Trustees.
Okay, that motion was made by Tamara Hume and seconded by Len Rubish.
Great. There's a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion? If you'd like to speak on the motion, please tap or click on the raise hand button on your device. You will be acknowledged and will need to click on the unmute button on your device before speaking. Comments and questions should be kept brief.
Okay, it looks like we have a comment from Hanya Popova Parker. Go ahead and click the unmute button and you can speak.
I'm sorry, that was a mistake.
No problem at all.
Okay.
Good to have you here. Okay. Looks like Nancy Reynolds has a question. Go ahead, Nancy.
Hi there, not a question. I just want to say hello and thank you to the 3 new trustees for the commitment that you're making to our center. You are in for a life-changing experience, and I just thank you from the bottom of my heart for your service.
Thank you, Nancy, so much. Okay, looks like there are no other hands raised, Randy.
All right. The poll that will be displayed on your device for this vote has 3 questions, one for each of the 3 trustees nominated today. Please vote one option on each of the 3 candidates before submitting your vote. You may need to scroll down to see the entire list of candidates. Now our vote. Please cast your vote to approve the slate of candidates as presented by the Board of Trustees. Please vote via the electronic poll displayed on your device.
Okay, just waiting for the last few votes to come in here. Just a reminder, you may have to scroll down to see that submit button on this one since it's a little bit longer than what can be displayed on the screen. Okay, we'll go ahead and give it just a few more seconds here. There's about 10 more people who haven't voted. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and we'll share the results. You may have to scroll down to see these results. So all of our trustees have been elected. Adrian Bose with 98%, Karen Hatton with 99%, and Greg Summers with 99%.
Thank you. Congratulations, Adrian, Karen, and Greg. We welcome you to the Board of Trustees and are grateful for your service. We would also like to take a few moments now to thank our outgoing trustees. Each will receive a silver Trustee Emeritus name badge. When you see a person wearing such a badge, you will know that they have served on the board and are likely able to answer questions that you may have regarding our center or point you in the right direction. Departing trustees are invited to join the Alumni Trustee Group, which meets monthly for a former trustees dialogue to maintain camaraderie and to be of further service to our center. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, Jan Peterson, Anne Marie, and I will now present messages of our gratitude to the outgoing trustees.
Okay. I'll be saying goodbye to Kate Luna. There you are. Hi, Kate. Kate, I already miss you on the board, but I know you'll still be part of my life. You were the one to call and ask me if I wanted to be on the board. And I admit I was hesitant. I was finishing up my prac training, but then I sat back and it was like, no, I want to serve with you. And I'm so glad I did, because we become good friends through all this working together. You've taught me about self-inquiry. I'm going to cry. And stepping up with your authentic self. You've more than once turned to me and said, what is your superpower? What are you passionate about? What do you love? What is it you bring to the board? You're my North Star. We knew each other from the welcoming team. That's where we met. I didn't really know you, but you talked about going to the border, helping the refugees, and I was struck by that. That's the essence of you, Kate. Loving and stepping up in a big way when you're called to do so. I think I can get through this. You also did that for our board and our community. You saw what was needed, said an authentic yes, and authentic is the key word, and then jumped in with both feet. Whether that was planning a board retreat, our community connections events, or food for Vista. Person to person connection is the basis of community. Well, you do this with a lot of knowledge and logistics, so like food and decorating. Your hallmark is being welcoming, having fun. That's probably really the hallmark. And connection. You had us wearing pie hats for pie days and, antlers and stuff for that winter event, or bongy little hearts for the Valentine's Day. And I just loved watching you, you putting tattoos on people's hands. You're just holding their hands, getting that tattoo on. And I felt like the love was palpable that day in the social hall. At Vista, I witnessed you wanting to take care of a visitor who needed a very special diet. When she was presented with her food, she said, I can eat this. This never happens. At the end, I saw her walk up to you, ask for a hug, and thank you, saying, thank you for that very special food, saying, I've never felt this well cared for. Yes, Kate, I will miss you on the board, your insights, your energy, but above all, your love and your care. Thank you so much personally and from our center. Thank you. Yeah, we're crying.
Mary Ann, throughout your term on the board, you've been such an invaluable colleague and sounding board for me as I've kind of muddled through from time to time. You've been an insightful and spiritually centered, open-hearted and hardworking trustee. And I and all the rest of the board members will sure miss you next year. But today for you, I think marks a transition, not really a farewell, because I know you love our community and you'll continue to serve in other ways. But now you have some time to breathe and take stock and wait for something new to call to you. As I've watched over the last several years, you've taken on more and more responsibility at the center and become one of our key leaders. You helped create the welcoming team. And then you became a trustee just in the space of a few months, when the pandemic prevented you from meeting with your fellow trustees in person. You stayed connected, you kept contributing, and you joined the team planning the return to in-person services. As a Sunday service volunteer lead, you've recruited and trained volunteers and organized their work, volunteered yourself so many times. And Sundays, sometimes you'll do double duty, counting the heads in the sanctuary and dollars from the offering baskets. While serving on our COVID advisory team for the duration of the pandemic, you've been a vital source of information that we've really needed to make the wisest decisions and you've been an advocate for taking steps to keep our center just as safe as possible. You've served a trustee and done all these other things while working 5 days a week, sometimes attending meetings from your car or your office, alongside the road sometimes, hands on the wheel, logging in during a lunch break or rushing home to be ready by 5:30. But you always show up and you always offer to help when you see a need. One of the many things I appreciate about you as a trustee, Marianne, is that you consistently keep the big picture of our center's highest good in mind. You're kind, wise, and thoughtful. You're an exceptionally good listener and can see things from many different points of view, often asking us, well, how will this decision we're making or this communication we're putting out be received by our people? Could we express it in maybe a better way? You've been a conscious presence at our board meetings, asking important questions and seeking clarity. I know in some Native American cultures, the people who were sent to bring water from the river every day in their baskets, the water carriers, they called them, of course, were vital members of their community. And you're one of our community's water carriers, bringing your gifts of time, and your talent and resources, your positive energy and your spirited, loving presence have helped sustain our center. 3 years ago, you picked up a bigger basket and you joined the board. But now you can pass that on to a new person, knowing that you've given your best. We love you, Marianne, and we thank you so very much.
Greetings. I'm just fixing my screen here so I can see and talk and read all at the same time. I've been given the honor of saying, as Randy said, I think not farewell, but goodbye for now to our wonderful trustee, Dinah. Trying to thank somebody for all of their contributions in this short a period of time is pretty much impossible, but I will try to hit some of the highlights. Moving from congregant to trustee is not something to be taken lightly, especially in the middle of a pandemic or when the pandemic is just beginning. But that's something that Dinah stepped up to do, and that was really brave. And she brought to that job an amazing variety and depth of qualities. Dinah is kind and thoughtful. I think that's the most important thing about her. Whenever something arises, a decision to be made or something to be considered, Dinah's first reaction is always to say, how will this affect people? How will they feel about it? And to remind us of how important it is to keep that in mind as we make our decisions. She's also curious and not ever afraid to ask questions. When some of the rest of us might hold back and think we ought to look like we know, Dinah's willing to say, I don't know, and I need to find out, and please tell me what I don't know. And I find that remarkable. And it lets those of us who didn't ask the questions find out too. So her curiosity in dealing with new situations is really a blessing. And as the center began to reopen, Dinah was one of those who stepped up to help out in a big way with training and organizing the volunteers. Remember when we had to get checked in and sit in pods and do all of those millions of different things in order to make sure that all of our congregants would be safe? Dinah was a big part of that process, and she continues to play a wonderful role in our welcoming team, serving as lead and keeping track of our volunteers and helping to make sure that they know what their jobs are when they show up. And again, she does that with such kindness and such care. When the need for a treasurer arose, Dinah was willing to move out of her comfort zone and step up to take that role. And I know that wasn't an easy decision for her, but that's where she really began to shine. She's organized, thoughtful, and follows through on what needs to be done. When the stewards made that decision about moving money around, Dinah was the one who put legs to that. And let me tell you, the bureaucratic hoops that she had to jump through to make that happen was unbelievable. And she did it all with patience, persistence, and grace. She is a joy to work with, and I personally will miss her smile and her tender words. And I know this has been a difficult year for her and for her husband. They went through a lot of challenges, and yet that smile was always there and has been such a blessing. We will miss Dinah on the board, but we are thrilled that she's going to be serving on the stewardship committee. Thank you for all you've done for us, Dinah, and I know that we'll continue to be friends. Blessings.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's now my pleasure to turn the meeting over to our senior minister, Dr. Edward Fillion.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and thank you for those beautiful tributes and for the beautiful service. It's very moving to hear that. I have been reading a lot about concern for the future of brick and mortar spiritual communities. Will there be a future? Will people want, after the pandemic, to go back into buildings? And so I wanted to report to you what I'm seeing, because what I'm witnessing tells me, it confirms for me that absolutely nothing beats being together with people who are on a journey of self-discovery so that we can take our stand in the community of beings as points of light and courage and hope. And that's part of our purpose, to awaken people to their spiritual magnificence. Of course, the pursuit of spiritual magnificence and awareness can be done all alone at home, right? But together, when we come together in community, in person, something wonderful happens. I've witnessed over and over again people walking into the center for the first time in 3 years, 4 years, and spontaneously bursting into tears when they feel the energy of kindred spirit and they say, I've missed this. Now, don't misunderstand me. Technology has changed our lives for the better, because now we have members and friends in our community that range from coast to coast, even in different countries. And we're able to reach people who, for whatever reason, are not able to be here in person with us. I keep on hearing from our virtual attendees. Recently, one told me that our online service has been a lifeline for their family as they had to travel extensively and be away from home and deal with changes in career and health. I also hear from people who listen to our radio ministry, KSRO, Spiritual Living with Edward Fillion, 8:30 in the morning, saying it's a lifeline to them. And do you know, some people tell me that they listen to the 8:30 radio broadcast, then they watch the 9 a.m. live stream, and then they come to the 11 o'clock service. So they triple dip. And it tells me something about the value that some people place on this spiritual community. And I've heard from people too saying that the Zoom prayer, after service Zoom prayer has been a lifeline, especially during those shelter in place times for many of our community members. And I've got to say, I'm going to make a shout out to our practitioners who hosted those rooms. Sometimes the practitioners would come online and nobody would show up, and sometimes more people showed up than we had practitioners. So thank you for being the prayer backbone of our community. Oh, things are changing. We had our first truly hybrid class, living the Serenity Prayer just completed, and we had something like 70 students, half online on Zoom and half in person, and it was beautiful. And it's an indication of our education ministry. It's coming back to life, and that's so important because it is part of the fulfillment of our purpose to raise humanity to its spiritual magnificence through spiritual education. And I've got to say thank you to Reverend Tara Steele for holding my hand through the process of becoming truly hybrid, and we're continuing with that legacy, and now we're expanding our education classes. We're going to offer them on more days at different times and in different ways so we can meet as many needs and schedules as we can. And thank you, Reverend Russ, for all of your flexibility and guidance as we take this new version of our education ministry forward. We're in an innovative phase. We're experimenting, we're willing to make mistakes and try to do things differently, try new ways for us to be together in person, especially because, to be honest, we've got the online part of it done pretty well. I got to say thank you. A call out to the people in the booth, the video, the streaming, the audio, the staff and the volunteers. They make it look magnificent. Absolutely. This meeting, for example, my goodness, I've got to pause and acknowledge Jeff Basham, practitioner, as well as all the other hands and hearts behind the scenes that make this happen and make it look so seamless and elegant. So we're going on, we're innovating about how to be together in purpose and learn how to, well, you know what, as we come together, you know what it's teaching me? It's reminding me that not only do we love learning together, but we love being together, eating together, connecting, and most of all, it seems we have not lost our appetite for having fun together. You heard that the Wednesday evening service has come back, and oh my goodness, that's in a new, innovative way. 7 p.m. in the social hall, in a lighthearted, marvelous way of connecting. You got to come and join us if you haven't done that. That's in person only. But the other things that have reminded me of how much we enjoy being together and eating, it's like the snack and chat that we had, and how we started off gently in the parking lot to make people's comfort level expand, and sharing our bounty. Wow, that's one of the most wonderful community events that we ever had, and it's coming back. And the other things we did, you heard some mention of it by the treasurer, the vegan event and the holiday tree decoration, the pumpkin carving, and a lovely name tag day and pie eating day. And all of this to let you know that a small but fierce team of staff and trustees have their shoulder to the wheel, guiding this organization into a new version of radiant health. And I'm starting there with the staff and trustees because they were the first wave of volunteers that then enrolled and recruited and trained new volunteers as we grew and grew. I started to notice the emergence of young people in our community. It started off with the coloring pages. They were so lovely. And then that all took off with the arrival of Jennifer Caldwell for our youth and family ministry, and great things are definitely on the horizon. I'm going to loop back to our purpose again, to raise humanity to its spiritual magnificence, and we do that through spiritual education, and we also do it through the practice of circulation. And with your input, our nonprofit partner program continues very strongly. And we've had monthly presentations by video of our partners in our service. And now something new, we've also started inviting representatives of the various organizations to be in our social hall, to connect with us and give us more opportunities to connect with them. You know, I got a beautiful note from a member who 10 years ago came to the center as a representative of one of our nonprofit partners to give the on-stage presentation of their organization. And that was back in the day when we had 3 services, remember? 3 services. And she wrote and said, I listened to the message 3 times and I knew that I'd found my spiritual home. Well, this is my spiritual home. I too have found my spiritual home, like many of you did, found your spiritual home. Some of you found it before I even arrived. And so I'm grateful right now to everyone who helps carry and has helped carry the center for these past 3 years. You heard, we've got a long way to go before we are in good, strong, healthy financial wellness. And yet today I'm filled with such confidence that not only can we get there, but we are already showing signs, evidence of being a strong, a new and different spiritual community than we were 3 years ago. There is something that I would like your help with, though. It seems to me that no matter how many times we announce during service or in letters or in the bulletin that the end of my term as spiritual leader does not mean the end of my term as senior minister here at the center. And so weekly people ask me, so how is your retirement? When does your retirement start? Who's replacing you? What are you going to do now that you've left the center? How's the center doing now that you don't work there? So I've got to say, help me spread the word. I have not quit my job as senior minister. Tell everybody who listens, tell it from the mountains that not only have I not quit my job, but I'm back full time to pour my love and my energy and my creativity into the already existing love and energy and creativity that the rest of the team has been holding. So no more rumors of Edward's end. Join me with that to keep that message strong. And talking about that time as a spiritual leader, oh gosh, a mighty thank you to you. It couldn't have been possible for me to serve our community without you. I'll start with the staff. Thank you. You kept this place clean, clear, functional, safe. And to the trustees, as I mentioned, they were really the first wave of volunteers to step in when a thing needed to be done. And then to the volunteers that are emerging from everywhere with the same beauty and graciousness of welcoming. And the practitioners, thank you for so quickly adapting to online prayer and then pivoting to adapt to a new way to do in-person prayer. And thank you to the members for staying with us and for making sure that your financial contribution continued to come in, even though we weren't seeing each other in person. Thank you. My heart is full today. And although it's March, I feel it is appropriate to say to us, Happy New Year and a joyous ongoing rebirth into spiritual magnificence. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I turn it over to Reverend Russ Laguerre.
Thank you, President Rani. Thank you, Dr. Edward, for that update on our community. And I'm Reverend Russ Laguerre. I'm the assistant minister at our center. And on behalf of the members and our wonderful community, it is my pleasure to lead our time of recommitment and the induction of our new Board of Trustees. It is our tradition to charge each new Board of Trustees to hold our center in sacred trust. Before doing so, we, the witnesses of this ceremony, have an opportunity to renew our commitment as members of the Center for Spiritual Living in Santa Rosa. To set the tone for our trustees who will be committing to fulfill the duties of their position, I ask you, our amazing members, do you commit to continue to be loyal, active, and supporting of your spiritual community here at the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa to the best of your ability? And you can just shout it out at your screen if you want. And do you commit to continue in your own regular spiritual practice to the best of your ability so as to contribute to a world that works for everybody? So thank you for that recommitment. I'm just going to trust that all of those voices that I couldn't hear, that was all resounding yes. Now, our trustees are guided by a covenant, and it was read at the start of this meeting today. This covenant is a commitment to be humble, gentle, and patient with one another as they attend to the business of the center. It is a commitment also to strive to make spiritual principle and practice be the foundation of all the work that they do together on behalf of our spiritual community. So to our wonderful trustees, on behalf of the members of our center, I ask you, will you commit to keeping a spirit of unity and love on the board by striving to see each other as an expression of the divine? If so, please say, I will.
I will.
I will.
Great. So our Chief Operating Officer, Linda Han, attends each board meeting in her capacity as Chief Operating Officer. So I've invited her to read the intentions stated in the covenant as a refresher for those trustees continuing their service and as an introduction to those starting their service today.
Thank you, Reverend Russ. It has been my pleasure to attend every board meeting since I started and joined the staff in 2018. And while every board is unique and every trustee brings different life experiences to the role, what has been consistent is that every trustee I've encountered has a deep love and respect for our center and our community. And that's simply been a joy and an honor to witness. So let me read the intentions of the Board of Trustees. They are to embrace spiritual principle and practice as the foundation of our activities, to maintain a big picture awareness, to articulate our vision, values, and philosophy, to maintain a high level of service and stewardship, to be ambassadors of the center, and to communicate openly and regularly. Thank you.
So trustees, on behalf of the members of our center, I ask you, will you commit to keeping these intentions in the forefront of your awareness while you serve on the board? If so, please say, I will.
I will.
I will.
All right, having heard your willingness to abide by the vision in this covenant on behalf of the members of our center and through the power of the living spirit within each one of us, I declare you to be our newly elected and installed Board of Trustees.
Yay.
Please join me in welcoming our new Board of Trustees into sacred service.
Yeah.
I'd like to take a moment at this time to acknowledge a few people who have been working in the background preparing for this meeting and were in service today to ensure that we had a smooth virtual experience. Alan Yeager, who's been working behind the scenes to deliver the registration and information for this meeting. He works with photos, all kinds of media to make this a great meeting. Our practitioners, Adrienne Bose and Don Snow, who've been at our board meetings throughout this past year, holding the spiritual space for the work the board has done. Practitioners, Peggy Weber and Sherry Poole, who've been in service and on high watch for today's meeting. Reverend Tara Steele, who's been monitoring last-minute registrations today. And believe me, they were coming in. Member Paul Corbett, who has been serving as a parliamentarian for today's meeting. Practitioner Teresa Jansen, our Zoom co-host and video coordinator. Great job, Teresa. Linda Hann, our COO, who has been monitoring the meeting, ensuring accuracy, and taking minutes. Oh my gosh, thank you, Linda. Technical Director and Practitioner Jeff Basham, who is serving as our Zoom host and virtual stage manager today. Thank you, Jeff. And now we will ask practitioner Sherry Poole to close our meeting by giving the benediction.
So as this annual membership meeting reaches its time of conclusion for this year, I am knowing that at the center has been and continues to be, God, that power within us that lets us know we are powerful. In all things, God crowns our center with success through connection, through community, and in the health and growth of our membership, our leadership, and our financial stability. We are an expression of that one. And so as we each prepare to depart this meeting and to go our individual ways, I know that we do so with all of the blessings that we receive from Spirit Divine and from our center, our support that we receive so generously. So I wish each and every one well wishes this day, and with thanksgiving in my heart for those board members who have served so faithfully, and our new ones and our continuing ones, and knowing that we are a center that is powerful, that is healthy, and that is love in every way. And so with this sense of gratitude, I release my word. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Sherry. We've now concluded all the business on our agenda. So at this time, I ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Okay, that motion was made by Jeanette McClellan and seconded by Ron Abler.
Thank you. Now our vote. Please vote via the electronic poll displayed on your device.
This vote always goes fastest. I don't know why, Randy. We have the end of the poll. Here are the results. 100% yes.
Unbelievable. It's unanimous. Well, thank you all for attending today. Welcome again to our new trustees, Adrienne, Karen, and Greg. And heartfelt thanks to our outgoing trustees, Kate, Marianne, and Dinah.